Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Bean here, and today I'm coming at you from a slightly different angle, mostly because one of my shelves is completely empty right now. Be on the lookout for a reorganization vlog or video that will be coming up hopefully soon if plans go as I would like them to. But hey guys, I'm coming at you today finally with my April wrap up, and I know I'm late. Like, it's halfway through May already. Like, also, can we just take a moment? It's halfway through May already. Like, what the heck? I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, I don't like the fact that that is the truth right now. But anyways, yeah, so let's see how this goes. As far as the month of April went, I ended up reading 8 books, and then I ended up DNFing 3 books as well on top of that. So I guess I technically was reading 11 books, but it was just the 3 that I've had for a while that I just needed to officially DNF. So I'll talk about those first. As far as things go, I have a couple stats, not a lot, but I ended up reading a total of 1,823 words. I had 3 5-star books, 2 4.5 star books, 2 4-star books, and 1 3.5 star book. Yes, so overall, I actually really did enjoy what I read this month, which was quite nice. And fun fact, all the books that I read over the course of April were published either in 2022, 2021, or 2018. Just, it happened to work out that way, which is interesting and not at all what I thought. So let's start with the DNFs, because I actually don't own any of these anymore. I did a really big unhaul not too long ago, and I ended up unhauling like 3 piles of books, and it was very impressive in my opinion. But yeah, so the first book that I DNF'd was Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. I got probably 100 pages into this, and honestly the reason that I DNF'd it was because I put it down, and once I put it down I had no desire to pick it up again. I did not have the drive to pick it up again, and so because of that I DNF'd it. This book follows, I don't even remember her name unfortunately, follows our main character who has to go back to her hometown for some sort of ritual, but it turns out her ex is still being a jerk to everybody. It didn't really capture my interest. I know our main character is bi, and there is a female-female romance, which I was looking forward to, but I didn't get into it, unfortunately. So this one I did DNF. The next book that I DNF'd was Fire and Heist by Sarah Beth Durst. I got maybe 40 pages into this book. I was promised were-dragons, and I didn't see any were-dragons, and it was not captivating. Our main character irritated me to no end, unfortunately, and honestly, I'm very sad to say that this was just not a book for me. Which makes me sad because I was so excited about this one. And the last book that I ended up DNFing was Freaks by Brett Riley. This one I actually was listening to the audiobook because I had it from NetGalley, and I struggled a lot with this one, and I actually did write up a blog post explaining why I DNF'd it, so if you want some details on that, you can check out that. I'll leave a link to the blog itself down below. But it felt very inconsistent to me, unfortunately, and I wasn't really surprised by a lot of stuff, but the whole flow of the story just didn't work for me, and it felt like it was trying to be an 80s style bully book, but took place in modern day, kind of, but not really, and it honestly didn't work for me, unfortunately, so I ended up just cutting my losses and skipping that one, unfortunately. Any of these books might be good for you, just for me personally, they did not work, unfortunately. And now let's move on to the books that I did read this month. Starting at the beginning of the month, I read Distoratoria by Jim Campbell. This is a graphic novel that follows the story from Over the Garden Wall, which is a cartoon that you can watch. I believe it's on Hulu. It's a single season. It's creepy. It's a children's show, yes, but it is creepy, and there are several graphic novels that I am slowly getting through the library. Apparently they're quite popular, who knew? But we watched this show at the beginning of this year, the end of last year, and absolutely loved it. I fell in love with this show. It's so whimsical, it's creepy, but it's also fun at the same time. We quote it quite often. This first one I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to, because I really did enjoy where this picked up, because it picked up at different intervals throughout what you saw in the TV show, so it didn't deviate from that, it just added to the story, which is very nice. Jim Campbell was actually one of the artists, I believe, for the show itself, so that's pretty cool that he stayed with this project and did the graphic novels as well. The second book I read was also an Over the Garden Wall graphic novel. This is just volume 1, which has issues 1 through 4 in it. But I ended up giving this one a 5 out of 5 because I really enjoyed this. This was so much fun, and it follows characters that you know from the show. Like, it follows our main characters, Greg and Mort, but it also follows Beatrice, and it follows the woodsman and the woodsman's daughter, and you kind of learn the stories behind some of our other characters, which is really cool, and I really enjoyed that aspect. The next book I read was also a library book, and that is The Devil You Know, which is the second book in the Mercenary Librarians trilogy by Kit Rocha. You may know I loved the first book. I gave it 5 out of 5. This second book got a 4.5 out of 5. Again, I absolutely loved it. It's very different from the first one in a couple ways. There's a little less action. We're actually following the 2 quietest characters in the books. And their stories were just heartbreaking, but they were also super inspiring and super just different, and it worked out very well because there was quite a bit of info dumping in this book, as happens in second books in a series, but it worked somehow. It worked very well in this context, and I really can't wait to read the third one, which I do have an arc for, and I'm so excited to read it. It is on my list to read this month, so when I finally have a free moment to sit down and read it, I will. But this one, again, like I said, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. The one con I had is there is one chapter that's told from the point of view of our villain. And I'm curious why, because in this context, it did not add anything to the story for me. In fact, it kind of cheated out the next couple chapters, in my opinion, and that it kind of brought me out of the story a little bit and it just didn't work, in my opinion, personally. But other than that, I will say trigger warnings in this for character death, anxiety, PTSD, talk of death, and and descriptions of torture, along with anxiety attacks, depressive episodes, and the such. Like, this is a dystopian society. So yes, for those of you who don't know, this series follows 2 groups of people, a set of superhuman librarians who are attempting to overthrow the dystopian government, and a set of super soldiers who are set out to do the same things, only they have defected from the government's army and are constantly being searched for. So it's the 2 groups end up teaming up in order to try and save the city that they love. So it's kind of cliche at points, but it is such a fun story, and I absolutely love the characters, so I can't wait for the next one where we get to learn a little bit more about some other side characters that, yeah, I'm very excited to learn more about them. The next book that I read is probably definitely my favorite book of this month, and that was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This book has been going around basically everywhere, and oh my god, there is a good reason for this. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Personally, I absolutely loved this short fantasy. It's a cozy fantasy, I believe is what the new genre is called. And that's exactly what it is. It's the story of Viv, a barbarian orc, for those of you who play D&D or know what a barbarian orc is, who basically is tired of her life as a fighter and has decided instead that, you know what? She wants to open a coffee shop. So she does, and it's all about her getting a following, getting these people to come into her shop when like no one has ever heard of coffee before. And it is the sweetest, most wholesome story, and I will just be recommending this to everyone because it is so sweet and so cute. I did get this one off of Kindle Unlimited, or off of Kindle. I don't remember if it was Kindle Unlimited or not, honestly. But I absolutely loved it, and I definitely recommend it. Go read it. It's so well done. The next book that I finished was another audiobook that I listened to, and it was a nonfiction one, and it's called The Last Days of the Dinosaurs by Riley Black. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5. I love dinosaur stories. Like, they're just one of my favorite things to really read, to listen to. I love dinosaurs. I have since I was approximately 3 years old. And I don't think that's ever gonna actually change. I think dinosaurs are always gonna be a big part of my life. And reading this as a book that came out in 2022, so it just was released, I'm still amazed by how much we still are learning about dinosaurs and about history as we keep digging things up. And I think that's pretty amazing, and I think this book really does kind of capture that quite well. I appreciated all the facts that came along with it, so I think it was good. I highly recommend it. It was a very interesting book, and definitely I'm glad that I do continue to read about dinosaurs. And I will always continue to read about dinosaurs. And hey, look guys, a book I actually own that I read. I read Delicious in Dungeon Volume 10 by Ryoko Kui. I have come to the conclusion, sorry, I gave this a 5 out of 5. I have come to the conclusion that I need to go back and reread this series. Just sit down and read it, which is going to be difficult because it is actually difficult for me to sit down and binge manga, because as much as they are graphic novels, they are comics, they are manga, they are still dense. There is still a lot going on in most of these stories, at least the ones that I've been reading, and this one is no different because of the amount of time between releases of the English versions of these books, because I don't read Japanese. I'm sorry. I don't. I read the Latin languages. I haven't tried Japanese yet. Maybe I will someday. But I forget a lot of the details that happened in the previous volumes because I don't read them before the new one comes out. And maybe I need to change that. Maybe I need to reread this again every like 10 volumes. I need to reread the whole thing. I don't know. But I forgot a lot about several of the politics that were going on. When they were mentioned, I was like, what? I don't remember it. So that was a little disconcerting, considering we're only on volume 10, and some things happened in this volume, and whew. But Delicious in Dungeon starts out volume 1 with a hunting party, basically, so a traveling party who have lost one of their own to a dragon, and their reaction is that they're going to go back into the dungeon, which is considered one of the most dangerous places to go, and they're going to go and find her, hopefully before the dragon finishes digesting her, so that way they can get her back. And it just kind of spirals from there. What happened in this book, whew, interesting, and I'm still kind of comprehending some parts of it. If what I think happened, then we got some things that are gonna happen that are gonna be very dramatic very soon, and I'm very excited for it. But we don't even have a cover for the next edition, so I have no idea when it's coming out. No clue. So we'll see. And this one's was pushed back twice at least, so we'll see. All right, almost there. The next book that I read was actually a novella that I did get from Kindle Unlimited, and that is The Way the World Ends, which is the first book in the Warmer series. This was a 49-page novella that I honestly read on a break at work by Jess Walter, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. It was interesting. This series is supposed to be about climate change, which is awesome. However, I felt that this one was more about politics and emotions that didn't really talk as much about climate control. They did talk about that, and it did address some people kind of coming to the conclusion of, yeah, we're screwed, aren't we? All right, cool. What matters anymore? And it's very interesting to read a story about people, about scientists who are like, there's nothing we can do. Like, we can't save this planet anymore. We've messed it up too much. And it's very interesting. The reason it didn't get a 5 out of 5 from me is because the ending to the book just didn't fit for me. It was written in a different style than the first half, which just confused me, and I wasn't sure what to think about it. But this novella, for sure, I would recommend it. This series, I'm planning on reading 1 a month. So hopefully I'll have the second one up for you guys for next month, but it is definitely interesting for sure, so I do recommend it. And it is thought-provoking, so that's another thing. And the last book that I read was a library book. Look, I read a library book, guys, and I still have it. And that was Prom House by Chelsea Mueller. I read this book actually because we're going to be seeing Chelsea Mueller in DC when we go to a Polycon in July, so I was excited to read it. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. It was a good YA thriller, honestly. That's what I can say about it. It was a YA thriller. I predicted most of it. I did predict who it was. That wasn't as difficult to figure out as I had hoped it would be. It was a single sitting read for me. It's not long. It is a tiny book. The one thing I did note, though, is that other than it being predictable, is that if I had put it down, I'm not sure I would have picked it up again. This follows a group of teenagers who have rented out a cabin on the Jersey Shore for their post-prom shenanigans. And then a hurricane hits and they find someone, one of their party members winds up dead, and it's not because of the hurricane. So things kind of devolve from there as they normally do, and it's very interesting. It's well done, but it just wasn't... I look for horror and thriller novels to be unpredictable, and unfortunately this one was very predictable for me, so I still enjoyed it, and I probably would pick it up or recommend it to people. If you do enjoy YA thrillers, this is a great YA thriller, it really is. I think I've gotten too much into the adult thrillers. T. Kingfisher has ruined me for that. Sorry. But it was still very good, and I do highly recommend it. And I'm very excited to meet her in July. But yes, that's what I got for you guys here today. So off of my TBR, I read, I think, 1 book. What you gonna do? But other than that, I had actually not a terrible reading month. I didn't read a lot, but I did read some stuff, so that's good. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys here today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, now is the perfect time to give it a thumbs up and to hit that subscribe button down below. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and the occasional Sunday. And if you want to be reminded when we post these videos, hit the little bell icon down below. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye!